Hey Guitar Heroes, this is Mel from howtoplayguitars with an S.com and Unleash Your Inner Guitar Hero, available on School right now, SKOOL.com/Unleash Your Inner Guitar Hero. Right now, today, we're talking about guitar warm-ups. In fact, I'm going to call it the ultimate chromatic guitar warm-up. This is an exercise that I got specifically from a book by a jazz guitar player named Rosenwinkel. And he wrote this book called Creative Exercises for Modern Guitar, Fundamental Exercises to Develop Guitar Technique. And so this is literally the first example or the first exercise in that book. And it's gonna be an exercise that is similar to other exercises that I've done in the past. But at the same time, this one is actually honestly way more challenging. This is a great exercise to help you learn your fretboard and all the notes, develop good technique, and finally master the fretboard, literally. So here we go. Let's talk about it and let's do it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the lowest note of the guitar, the lowest E string, and we're gonna go all the way up chromatically, all the way to the highest note in your guitar. In this case, up to the 22nd fret, which is a D note on the high E string. Okay, and the reason I'm doing it right now up to the 22nd fret is I have a 21 fret guitar next to me and a 24th fret guitar behind me. But in the book, Rosenwinkel just goes up to the 22nd fret and goes back down. Now, I would encourage you to use it on all of your guitars, regardless of how many frets it has, and go to the highest note you can possibly go and go to the lowest note you can possibly go in different combinations, which is what we're going to do right here. So we're going to start on that low open E, and we're going to play the first 4 frets, and to recognize the notes that are E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. Now I can shift a couple of different places here. Kurt calls this our hand throw. But I'm going to go to the 4th fret on the A and shift up to the 5th. So it's C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F. And again, I have a couple places I could shift to or hand throw. I could go to the 9th fret and go F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Go to the 8th fret on the D, slide from the B flat to the B, C, C sharp, D. Go to the 13th fret, hand throw, E flat, E, F, F sharp. You're moving them to the G string, a little bit of a shift there, G, G sharp, A sharp. Now I'll go to the B. Now because the G string and the B string are tuned in thirds, and this isn't to contrast all the other strings that are tuned in fourths, I can literally just go up to the next string and it's the same pattern without having to shift and not losing a note within the chromatic scale. So G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, and so forth. Now, the way that Kurt actually does it in the book is, at least in the first example, is he plays G, G sharp, A sharp, B, shift, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then E, shift, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, and then just leaves 2 strings or 2 notes up here, C sharp and D. That's a little hard to get to that. So you have to get creative with where your thumb goes depending on what the back of your guitar neck looks like. Okay, I'm going to start on the pinky because it's the smallest finger. I'm going to come down going D, D flat, C, B. Now I go sharps up and flats down because essentially a flat is flattening the note and a sharp is sharpening the note. So D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, a little bit of a hand throw, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, hand throw, G flat, F, E flat, hand throw, D flat, C, B, hand throw, B flat, A flat, G, hand throw, G flat, F, E flat, and D flat, C, B, hand throw, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, and E. Okay, and so that's a really good way of practicing this exercise and realizing that there's multiple ways that you could shift from one string set to the next. Essentially, I'm using a 4-finger fret span for each one of those, and so I could play on just one string at a time. Like on the low E string, for example, I could play E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, go back down the way you came, or the easiest way possible. And it's okay to do little hand shifts or hand throws, and sometimes you repeat notes, and that's okay. All right, but you're learning the notes on the neck. That's the most important thing, and you're learning how to play good technique ultimately. And now I could go open E, first 4 frets, and I could go to the open A, hand throw to the D, hand throw. See what I mean? And so there's different ways you can play this, and I highly encourage you to kind of play around with it and see what you can do. Now this is just basically playing in quarter note rhythm on every click of a metronome. But then you can put the metronome on quarter note triplets, or 6 notes within the 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Then you can do eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth. Okay? Then you can do triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Okay? And then you can do sixteenths. Okay? And again, go up and down on your neck. And so forth. And I think the last example was sextuplets, which is 6, 1 to da 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 da. Right? And that's pretty challenging. Even at the end of that, Kurt says, "Oh, that was really hard." He laughs and whatever. But so I would encourage you to try this exercise in multiple different ways. The traditional chromatic exercise would start something like on the 5th fret of the low E string, and it would just play the first 4 frets, and then shift to the 4th fret, play 4 notes, shift to the 3rd fret, shift to the 2nd fret, and on those 2 strings it's the same, and then shift again, and then shift up there, and now you played the A 2 octaves up from the low A that you started on. Okay, now I could do that another way. I could go like this. Same A, just another way to get there. Okay, so I'd encourage you to try this in multiple different ways, see what you can come up with, start learning your notes on all the strings, and challenge yourself to see if you can get from the lowest note to the highest note and then back down. And this will be incredible for your guitar technique, for your ability to know the notes, to map out the fretboard, and just really to master the fretboard overall. So I encourage you to check this out, try it out, and let me know what you think. Come check me out on school. SKOOL.com/unleash your inner guitar hero, where right now we're in the middle of a 5-day challenge to get off that guitar plateau that many of us get stuck on, and I'll see you there. Bye for now.